have covered recombinant DNA technology, continuing with its application, that is gene therapy. Today's topic is gene therapy. This gene therapy is a great leap in medical science. As
Can you be a bit loud?
okay, can you hear me now? Is my voice audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is a great leap in medical science which has taken place in US on 14th of September 1990. This was the first time gene therapy was conducted. First gene therapy trial for an inherited disorder was initiated on this date, that is adenosine deaminase deficiency. For this ADA, the gene therapy trial was initiated. And the patient name was Ashanti De Silva. She was 4-year-old. On her, this trial was done for ADA. Is my voice audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
By definition, what is gene therapy? Gene therapy, it is an intracellular delivery of genes to generate a therapeutic effect by correcting an existing abnormality. Suppose a gene is mutated or it is abnormal gene. So if we deliver a normal gene instead of that abnormal gene, that in short is gene therapy. It is a technique for correcting the defective genes responsible for disease development. Now, how it is performed, we'll see in detail how the process goes, but in short, what is the mechanism of this gene therapy is, first what is done is replacing a mutated gene that causes disease with a healthy copy of the gene. This is one way, that is replacing a mutated gene with a healthy one. Another way is inactivating or knocking out a mutated gene that is functioning improperly. If we inactivate the dysfunctional gene or knock it out, then this is the second way of gene therapy. Another way is introducing a new gene into the body to help fight a disease. At any time, if you think that my voice is not audible, please let me know. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is, there are two types of gene therapy. In our body, there are two types of cells, somatic cells and germline cells. This you all know. So depending upon that, the gene therapy, it has two types. One is somatic gene therapy and another is germline gene therapy. What are these two? We'll see. This is a table showing differentiating points between somatic cell gene therapy and germline gene therapy. The somatic cell gene therapy, first we will see the points in this. It is a therapeutic genes transferred into the somatic cells, that is known as somatic cell gene therapy. Example is introduction of genes into bone marrow cells, blood cell, skin cell. These are the cells which are somatic cell line. Since this is somatic cell, so it will not be inherited later in the next generation. If we perform gene therapy for somatic cells, that will be limited to that particular individual only. That will not be transferred or inherited to its progeny. At present, all researchers directed to correct genetic defects in somatic cell. So at present, whatever research is going on in gene therapy, that is totally on somatic cells only. Another type was germline gene therapy. This is therapeutic genes transferred into the germ cell is known as germline gene therapy. Example is genes introduced into eggs and sperm. So this is your sex-linked genes which are the germline. Since it is heritable and passed on to next generation or progeny, hence for safety and ethical technical reason it is not being attempted at present, because whatever gene, if a good gene is being transferred to a normal one or we are replacing any gene, there might occur some changes which we won't recognize and that will be passed on to the progeny. Hence germline gene therapy is not attempted or practiced, only somatic cell gene therapy is practiced. Here we have only somatic gene therapy by inserting the new gene into somatic cell of the patient is under trials, and germline therapy is considered unethical. Now this somatic gene cell therapy, we have another two types. One is ex vivo gene therapy and in vivo gene therapy. This we'll see in detail now. Ex vivo gene therapy, it involves the transfer of genes in cultured cell. Example is bone marrow cell, which are then reintroduced into the patient. That means outside in the cultured medium, we are transferring the genes and then we are introducing it into the person's body. This is ex vivo gene therapy. In vivo gene therapy, this is the direct delivery of genes into the cells of a particular tissue. Hence, it is known as in vivo gene therapy. We'll see these two in detail. First, we'll start with ex vivo gene therapy. This is the mechanism or technique, you may say, for performing the ex vivo gene therapy. Like we have learned in recombinant DNA technology, there were 4 steps for formation of a recombinant DNA. Like this, in ex vivo gene therapy, this is the mechanism. We isolate the cells with genetic defect from a patient. We identify the patient who is having a genetic defect. Then we isolate the cells with genetic defect from that particular patient. Now we grow the cells in culture, then introduce the therapeutic genes into the cells with culture. Now we select genetically corrected cells and grow them. Whatever therapeutic genes we have introduced in the culture, we select the corrected cells and grow them, and then we transplant the modified cells to the patient. This we'll see diagrammatically. Here you can see, take cells from the patient. Suppose this is the patient. We'll take the genetically defected cells from the patient. So we'll isolate the cells with defective gene. Now, since for inoculation, multiplying, and for its functioning or growth, we require the vector that we have learned in recombinant DNA technology. Vectors are required. Here, retrovirus is the vector which is carrying the normal gene. So now, normal gene is introduced into the patient cell by this retrovirus, and patient cell now contains normal genes along with the therapeutic. Here, normal genes is the therapeutic genes which we have added to the patient instead of the defective gene. The cell with normal gene is injected back to the patient. Now the patient is taking the benefit of this gene therapy. So this is ex vivo gene therapy. The procedure basically involves the use of patient's own cell for culture, and genetic correction is done, and then they are returned back to the patient. So there is less chance of graft rejection. You have heard the term graft rejection? Have you heard the term graft rejection in transplant? If suppose a donor is there and the donor is transplanting its liver to a patient, that is graft we call it as. If the patient is able to take that liver and its immunity does not react to it, then the graft is accepted. Otherwise, if there is reaction after performing the transplant of liver, then we call it as graft rejection. Have you heard this before? So this is new to you. So suppose if we take, and simplify this, if you take a blood sample, blood transfusion you have heard before. Suppose a person is B positive and he requires blood. So some donor with B positive blood donates his blood. That blood is given to this patient after performing certain tests, and then if the patient after receiving blood, if there develops any reaction, that is known as rejection or transfusion reaction. That means the blood is not suitable to that patient, though it is B positive. It is somewhere like this only. So if you take genes from others' body and then you incorporate or introduce it into patient's body, it is possible that there will be graft rejection. That will be the patient's body reacts to these genes, and according to the patient's body or immunity system, these are foreign bodies. Since there will be reaction. So for this ex vivo gene therapy, we use patient's own cell for culturing them, and then we return back it to the patient. Is it okay? This technique is therefore not associated with adverse immunological responses after transplanting the cells. It is efficient only if therapeutic gene is stably incorporated and continuously expressed. What do you mean by stably incorporated and continuously expressed? If we introduce the therapeutic gene into the patient, and the gene, what do you mean by gene? Gene is ultimately a cell. It is going to build up cells. Those cells, if they don't survive and they don't replicate, there is no benefit of using this ex vivo gene therapy. So it should be stably incorporated. While incorporating, there should not be any damage to the gene, and it should be continuously expressive. That means it should multiply and help the patient to recover. This can be achieved by use of vectors. We will see what are vectors. For delivering this genes, we require carriers. They are known as vectors. We have vectors in gene therapy to transfer the desired gene into a target cell. A carrier is required. Such vehicle of gene delivery are known as vectors. There are two types of vectors, viral vectors and non-viral vectors. We'll see this two in detail. What should be a definition or characteristics of an ideal vector? Target the right cell. That means for what purpose it is chosen, that should be fulfilled. It should target the right cells. It should integrate the gene in the cell. It should activate the gene, then avoid harmful side effects, and it should follow all these criteria. But this is a human body. There occurs changes. Every human body is not same. So there can occur changes anytime, any way. So no universal vector exists. You can give certain characteristics or you can chalk out certain protocols, but it is not possible that every time it will be an ideal vector. Something about viral vectors. Viruses introduce their genetic material into the host cell as part of their replication cycle. Then they remove viral DNA and using virus as a vehicle to deliver the therapeutic DNA. The viruses used are altered to make them safe, although some risks still exist in gene therapy. Here some risk means a lot since it is an trial. No perfect gene therapy has been developed yet since it is risky and it is in trial phase only. What is this is your viral vector which is carrying the new gene. This is cell with original gene which is damaged, you may say, and we are supposed to replace this. So we will insert this viral vector which is carrying the new gene into the gene of the cell of the patient. Now, after transporting this viral vector, it becomes new gene in the cell along with original gene. So both the genes are there, but you may call this as therapeutic gene. The vectors were of two types, viral and non-viral. This is types of viral vectors. We have four types of viral vectors. First is retrovirus, second is adenovirus, third is adeno-associated virus, and fourth is herpes simplex virus. First, retrovirus vector system. This is generally asked in Viva. The recombinant retrovirus has the ability to integrate into the host genome in a stable fashion. This will, I'll first read this, then we'll explain in the next slide. Can carry a DNA of at least less than 3.4 kb size. Replication defective virus particles are there, and then target cell, it has this activity of dividing. What happens? This is the retrovirus. You must have learned Lac-Operon model, gene expression. Have you learned the Lac-Operon model? Okay. So in that, this is the same as there in Lac-Operon model. LTR, GAG, POL, and so what is the function of all these three enzymes that you know? So this LTR, it deletes the GAG, POL, M genes, and in that place it adds the cassette containing human gene so that we can transfer the gene containing in the viral vector to the delivering gene. The naked viral RNA has to get protein coated to enable them to enter into the human host cell. So defective viruses put into packaging cell which provide the viral coat, and virus particle with protein coat, they are infective but cannot replicate or produce the disease. We are introducing the virus which is infective but it cannot produce or replicate any disorder. So there is less harm, or you can say negligible harm, with this virus to our body. So this now enters the human cell cytoplasm. Receptor mediated entry of retrovirus occurs into the human host cell where reverse transcriptase of virus copies RNA are introduced into the virus DNA, and now this integrates with the host DNA inside the nucleus, and then there the replication, transcription and translation occurs. You are aware of all these processes. Replication is forming copies of DNA. Transcription is what is transcription and translation? Is anybody there?
Can you repeat the question?
What is replication? What is transcription and translation?
Replication is when one copy of DNA is made from an original copy, right?
Transcription is
Encryption is the coding of DNA through mRNA. And
Translation.
is the process of production of protein through mRNA,
Here in this last
rRNA
slide.
module.
Okay. In this, all the three processes they occur. Please mute their voice. Second, viral vector, we have adenovirus vector system. Adenovirus with a DNA genome, we call it as a good vector. Now its target is non-dividing human cell. And commonly, it is for common cold adenovirus is used. Third is adeno-associated virus vector. It is a human virus that can integrate into chromosome number 19. A single-stranded, not pathogenic, small DNA virus. Adeno-associated virus, it enters the host cell, it becomes double-stranded, and then it gets integrated with the chromosome number 19. Fourth is herpes simplex virus vector. These viruses, they have the natural tendency to infect a particular type of cell. They infect and persist in mainly the nervous system. So basically, these are all MCQ, you can say. Herpes simplex virus vector. MCQ is, it is persistent in nervous cell. Adeno-associated virus vector, it is used for integrating with chromosome number 19. Adenovirus vector system, target is mainly the non-dividing human cells, and this retrovirus vector system, target is mainly the dividing cell. So this MCQ you may keep in mind. Now we have second category, non-viral vector system. Here again we have 4 examples, 4 types. First is pure DNA construct. That is direct introduction of pure DNA construct into the target tissues. Non-viral, they are called because they are not viruses. Then efficiency of DNA uptake by the cells and expression is low since we don't have the entry or receptor mediated entry is not there. So consequently, large quantities of DNA have to be injected periodically to make this function well. Second is lipoplexes, lipid DNA complexes. These are DNA constructs surrounded by artificial lipid layer. So while entering the DNA is not damaged. Most of it gets degraded by lysosomes. Cells have this lysosome present which are for enveloping the foreign bodies. Hence, we have this artificial lipid layer for protecting them. DNA that voice. Third is DNA molecular conjugates. Commonly used synthetic conjugators, poly-L-lysine bound to specific target cell receptor. Therapeutic DNA is then made to combine with the conjugate to form a complex. It avoids lysosomal breakdown of DNA. Fourth is human artificial chromosome. It can carry a large DNA, that is with one or more therapeutic genes with regulatory elements. Pardon? So these are 4 types of non-viral vector system and 4 types of viral vector system. Just you remember the name, that is more than enough. This is one example of ADA which is given. How this viral vector system, they allow or transfer this ADA gene to help the patient to get the treatment. This is bacterium carrying plasmid with clone normal human ADA gene. How this cloning occurs, we have learned in recombinant DNA technology. Now, this is added to this genetically disabled retrovirus. This is our viral vector. Now, the cloned ADA gene is incorporated into this virus. You can see here. This is the cloned ADA gene. Now we use T cell with disabled ADA gene isolated from the SCID patient, that is the patient into which we are supposed to deliver this ADA gene. ADA is adenosine deaminase gene deficiency. Now this retrovirus, that is this ADA gene isolated from this SCID patient and cloned ADA gene. Retrovirus infects the T cells, transfers ADA gene to the cell. Now these cells, they are grown in the culture medium to ensure that this ADA gene is active. Now after growing this in cultural medium and the active gene is found, these genetically altered cells are re-implanted into the patient to produce ADA. Okay. This I have mentioned the name in the first slide. The first gene therapy trial for ADA was done. Okay, this is the way they have done it. First we have learned about ex vivo gene therapy. Now we'll learn about in vivo gene therapy. Direct delivery of therapeutic gene into target cell into the patient's body. So here we do not require any vector, non-virus and virus. We directly deliver the therapeutic gene into the target cell into the patient's body. We require viral and non-viral vectors, but we do not culture it outside. We directly deliver it into the patient's body on the target cell. It can only be possible in patients where individual cells cannot be cultured in vitro in sufficient number. Example, we have brain cells that they cannot be cultured outside the body in sufficient amount. So we perform this in vivo gene therapy in this types of patient. It is necessary when cultured cells cannot be re-implanted in patients effectively. Ex vivo gene therapy is more common as compared to this in vivo gene therapy. Here you can see we have cloned the required DNA. Now this is our vector. We will put this cloned DNA into the vector and then we will inject this into the patient directly. Example we have given here is cystic fibrosis. The patient with cystic fibrosis, a protein called cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator. It is absent due to the gene defect. So in absence of this protein, CFTR chloride ions concentrate within the cells. Chloride ions concentrate within the cells and it draws water from the surrounding. Because of this, it leads to accumulation of sticky mucus in the respiratory tract and lungs. Hence, we treat this by in vivo replacement of defective gene by adenovirus vector, directly injecting into the person's target cell. Here, the example is given of this cystic fibrosis. This is normal human gene which is cloned with the bacterium. Now, it is inserted into the harmless vector, that is the viral vector. Virus dripped into the lung through a thin tube inserted into nose. So, we directly inject it into the patient's lung, that are our target cells, through thin tube. Okay. Here it goes into the lungs by inhalation. The virus enters the lung cell nucleus. Here inside the nucleus, the normal gene, that is the DNA sequence, inserted into the lung cell DNA by the virus. From nucleus it enters the lung cell DNA, where you can see here cells now with normal genes, they function normally and help the patient getting better treatment with this in vivo gene therapy. There are 4 methods by which we can deliver this gene.
आपसे प्रार्थना है और मैं हाथ जोड़ के प्रार्थना करता
Mute
हूं
that voice.
कि आप इस समय देश में जहां भी हैं वहीं रहे।
Please
अभी
mute
के
that
हालात को
voice.
देखते हुए
Here are 4 methods of gene delivery. One is gene gun. Here it is shown the gene gun, where we insert the gene with the help of a gun-like thing. The mechanism is pushing the gene with very high speed. Hence it is given the name gene gun. Another is micro-injection. Here you can see, with the help of this micro-injection or pipette, you can say, we can insert the gene into the required cell. In using detergent mixture, there are certain chemicals which, with the help of the detergent action, they will help the delivery of gene into the required cell. They will break the membrane of the cell and the delivery of the gene will occur. Then liposuction. Liposomes you have heard before. The lipid layer. This is coated with the gene so that when it enters the cell, the layer it breaks down when enzyme attack is there and the gene is delivered to the required cell. Now, these are the success stories of gene therapy. Up till now, this much the scientists they have achieved about gene therapy. You see these disorders. I'll show you pictures of this disorder. SCID, that is severe combined immunodeficiency. This ADA enzyme, it are inserted into the lymphocytes by retrovirus. Then DMD, that is Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. We have cystic fibrosis. Then familial hypercholesterolemia. Then hemophilia, some types of cancer, and Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. This LHON, this is asked in Viva. You have learned in your biological oxidation class about mitochondrial DNA. There are some disorders which are associated with defect in mitochondrial DNA. So this is one of them, Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. In Viva, you are asked to enumerate the disorders associated with defect in mitochondrial DNA. This is one of them. This is a picture of SCID. This small child suffering from SCID was also called as bubble baby, since the patient was not able to survive outside this bubble. Hence, the name was given, bubble baby. Now, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, you can see normally what is the muscle, and here in this DMD patient, the muscle is atrophied. Now, this is again a picture of DMD. You can see muscular dystrophy in this patient. Both hands and legs of the patient. Now we have cystic fibrosis. We have seen how the in vivo gene therapy it works. It is a hereditary disorder characterized by lung congestion and infection and malabsorption of nutrients by the pancreas. Hemophilia, there is a lot of bleeding from various sites that can be helped with the help of gene therapy. Various cancers, and then we have this Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. There are always obstacles to the success of this gene therapy, since some people, some scientists, they are agreeing with this and some they don't agree. So what are the limitations that are encountered? They have inconsistent result. Then there is lack of ideal vector because what vectors they use, they may infect in some amount the patient. Lack of targeting ability in non-viral vectors. Then death of the patient during the course of gene therapy. In one disorder they have reported, there are many more. Then reactivation of retroviral vector due to illegitimate combination of inserted gene leading to leukemia in the patient. This is, for example, they have given what are the limitations. There are many more. Hence, at present, trials are on but restricted with stringent protocols and follow-up. There are certain advantages and advantages of gene therapy. I have listed 4. Disadvantages, it is long-lasting therapy is not achieved by gene therapy. Long-lasting therapy is not achieved by gene therapy. Due to the rapid dividing of the cells, benefit of gene therapy is very short-lived. We cannot stop this dividing of the cell inside a human body. Hence, it is short-lived. Then immune response to the transferred gene stimulates a potential risk to the gene therapy. This immune response, you cannot predict it for any person because the immune response for human body is different for different persons. Viruses used as vectors for gene transfer may cause toxicity and immune responses and inflammatory reaction in the host that we cannot stop. Disorders caused by defect in multiple genes cannot be treated effectively using gene therapy. Only the studies for single gene therapy are going on. The disorders which are causing the multiple gene defect, they are not yet done. Though there are disadvantages, there are some advantages also. This gene therapy, it has the potential to eliminate and prevent hereditary diseases such as we have seen cystic fibrosis and ADA. ADA, it is a successful gene therapy. It is possible to cure heart diseases, AIDS and cancer. It gives someone born with a genetic disease a chance to live. It can be used to eradicate diseases from the future generation. These are some of the advantages. But while working on this gene therapy, some ethical issues they come since we are handling or treating a live human body. We are not using tissues or samples. We are directly having or using the live human body. So the ethical issues which arise are who will have access to the therapy. If some people who are not with a good attitude, they have this access, then it may be a danger or potential risk to human. Is it interfering with God's plan? Or should people be allowed to use gene therapy to enhance basic human traits such as height, intelligence, etc.? Or is it all right to use the therapy in prenatal stage of development in babies? So a lot of ethical issues they arise, they are still unanswered. Of gene therapy. Typically, gene therapy is the permanent solution for genetic diseases. You can see I have written here theoretically, so it is not possible all the time practically. But it has several complexities. At its current stage, it is not accessible to most people due to its huge cost. Like breakthrough may come and they may come. A breakthrough may come anytime and a day may come when almost every disease will have a gene therapy. Gene therapy have the potential to revolutionize the practice of medicine. We can have treatment for every disorder. If this gene therapy, we get a positive result for all the disorders. This is example I have shown for cloning. You all know Dolly was the first ship made by cloning. This is the way it was formed. From an egg donor ship, enucleation was done, nucleus was removed, and in that recipient cytoplasm was donated. Then it was reconstructed and it was planted inside the foster mother and clones were formed. Stem cell, this is a new thing which is asked in Viva. Stem cells, what are stem cells? You will learn this in more detail in your second year, but for a Viva first and your general knowledge, they have the ability to divide for an infinite period. They can give rise to a variety of specialized cell types. This is known as developmental plasticity. These stem cells can be isolated from embryos, umbilical cord, as well as from any other adult tissues. This is generally asked, where can you isolate the stem cell from? You must have heard that when the baby is born, a lot of ads are being shown that you should preserve the umbilical cord of the baby so that the stem cells can be isolated from the umbilical cord, and if ever the baby develops any disorder which is not having treatment, then that stem cells can be utilized for treating the baby. Plasticity is more for embryonic stem cell. That means it can give rise to a variety of cells. They have this unique capacity to produce unaltered daughter cells and also to generate specialized cell. These are the two terms, potency and renewal. We'll be asked about potency. Stem cells, they have the ability to generate specialized cells, that is known as potency. You have here different types. Stem cells which are capable of producing all types of cell of an organism is known as totipotent cell. It is able to generate cells of 3 germ layer. It is known as pluripotent. It is able to produce only closely related cell types, then it is multipotent. And if it is producing only one cell type, then it is unipotent. This is MCQ. Research is being going on to utilize the stem cells for the treatment of various disorders like Alzheimer, Parkinsonism, stroke, brain injury, wound healing, myocardial infarction, muscular dystrophy, spinal cord injury, diabetes, and cancer. The research is still in progress, but it is utilized on a larger scale for research as compared to gene therapy. Completed here our topic of gene therapy and stem cells. These are the differentiated stem cells which are generated here. You can see hematopoietic, neural, and mesenchymal cells can be created with the help of cultured pluripotent stem cells. Here we have finished the recombinant DNA technology and application of recombinant DNA technology and gene therapy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.